Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Final Take. I'm Curtis Rauen, and joining me tonight are Ben Zitouni and Marty Kauffman. Well, gentlemen, the weather's been pretty nice. What's the start of the November for you?
I don't know, just getting ready for finals week, enjoying the nice weather before it leaves for good.
I got a lot of projects I should probably get started on, so.
Yeah, we better get the shovels out soon. I think snow's coming. It's on its way. Well, tonight we will cover the latest in Pointers athletics along with college football, NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Week 9 in the NFL. We begin tonight with Pointer football. The Pointers dropped a hard-fought game against Stout 34-31 on Saturday to drop to 4-5 on the season. Kyle Larson threw for 253 yards with a touchdown and interception, while Jared Panko and Matt Zazinski each caught touchdown passes. DeJuan Wright led the Pointers' rushing attack with 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Pointers scored first in the game before falling behind 21-7 and 27-10 before rallying to take a 31-27 lead with 2:17 remaining. The Blue Devils then completed a 76-yard pass to Pointers' 7-yard line before punching in the game-winning score, which is 25 seconds remaining. The Pointers had a chance to tie the game with a 56-yard field goal, but the attempt came short. Ben, we'll start with you. Should the Pointers have attempted a Hail Mary instead of trying for that long field goal?
I'm going to say yes. Most of the success they've had this season is when they've tried those long plays, especially to Jared Pankow or Matt Zazinski, and you never know what can happen on a Hail Mary instead of kicking, what was it, a 53-yard field goal. So yeah, 56-yard field goal. So yeah, they should have gone for the Hail Mary.
I don't blame them for their decision. You have faith in your kicker to make a kick. He's probably done, I think Verveldi's, I'm sure he's practiced 56, 60-yard field goals in practice, and he's probably made a couple, probably missed some. It's about having faith in your kicker, and I think it showed a lot of confidence in a guy to go in there and tie the game up for you late in the game. Yeah,
the kicker has, he's had his up and downs in this season, but in the past, he has had the leg to do it. So I don't really knock him for that. I don't know the conditions, what the weather conditions were in that game, so I really don't know if it was windy or not, or what was put into that decision, but I don't knock him at all. We'll jump into another question here. Has this season been disappointing?
Yeah, it has been. You think about it, they have Kyle Larson came back, Matt Zazinski came back, DeJuan Wright came back, so you knew what they were going to have on offense, but the defense was really the big question coming in, and the secondary kind of hampered them all season. You talk about they give up, a 73-yard pass in this game, then they gave up a long pass in that Oshkosh game too. So they were in all the games. It was just at the end, their defense, especially the secondary, faltered.
I think if you look at most of their losses, they were in them every time pretty much. They could have won that stretch. They had a chance in all 3 of those games where they played ranked opponents in the conference. They had a chance to win those games, but they never played a balanced, or the offense and defense never really came together for many games this year.
Yeah, and going back to your point with the secondary, I think that was the weakness on their team this year. And what was disappointing to me, and it's nothing against the guy, but Kyle Larson, I don't see that guy ever finishing the whole entire season starting. He's always injured.
The question is, why have they've played with multiple quarterbacks in games? They've had 3 quarterbacks playing a game at one time. I think, was it Kerner played in this game too? Why are they switching back and forth between quarterbacks? As the old saying goes, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
Well, I think this last game, Kyle Larson did go out with an injury, and that's when Kerner threw that touchdown pass. But this guy seems to not stay healthy, and I'm a little shocked they haven't been looking outside and trying to find someone who's going to come in there and play a whole season.
Yeah, this is Larson's junior season, so he'll probably be back for next year. It'd be one thing if Larson was a senior this year, trying to look to the future with the young quarterbacks, but he has 1 more year left, so it's kind of a little puzzling as to why they're sometimes going with 3 quarterbacks in a game.
Yeah. Well, the Pointers finish the season when they host River Falls on Saturday for Senior Day. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. Do the Pointers end the year on a high note in this one?
I don't think they can. Even though it's Senior Day at home, they've been struggling too much, and like we just said, they can't really figure out the quarterback situation. And River Falls, I believe they're almost a 500 team this year, so I'm going to say no.
I think they do. River Falls just played Oshkosh, and Oshkosh handled them very easily. I think they put up almost 60 points on them. So I think the Pointers will come out with a win on Saturday.
Yeah, I think they will, and Jernell always plays with extra fire. He coached for that team, defensive coordinator there, so I definitely think they're going to go on top. Well, we will be broadcasting that game. Me and Adam will have the call on that one. Now moving on to Pointers volleyball. The Pointers volleyball team advanced to the WIAC championship game this past weekend, where they were swept by UW Whitewater. However, the Pointers received an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament, where they will travel to Grand Rapids, Michigan to take on Elmhurst on Thursday at 4:30. After advancing to the Final Four the past 2 years, do the Pointers have enough run in them to make it all the way?
I don't know. I'm gonna lean towards saying yes, but this year they haven't been healthy. They've been missing the height up front, but they have Brunkhorst back now. They just have to stay healthy and play as a team, and maybe they do.
I've picked them I've usually been on the positive side of this team all year. I don't think they have the run in them this year. I think they're going to come up short. I don't know if they peaked early in the year. They were on a roll to begin the season, but I just don't know if this team is built to last the rest of the year.
Well, let's move on to the ice now. The second-ranked Pointers men's hockey team improved to 4-0 with victories over Gustavus Adolphus and Bethel over the weekend. The Pointers defeated Gustavus 5-1 on Friday night before a thrilling 4-3 win over Bethel with a 42-second remaining by virtue of Logan Lemarand for the goal. What are your expectations, Ben, for the Pointers this season?
The same they were last year. Another successful year in conference, and they beat River Falls in the conference tournament this year, and then they go back to the Frozen Four and hopefully win. They have a talented team, both on offense and defense. I think the only one major question is in goalie. Do they kind of do goalie by committee or stick with whoever the hot hand is?
It's going to be the same thing as like you said, Brooks' goal is to make it to the national championship again and win it. I mean, they've gone 2 years in a row. It seems to me right now, the first 2 weeks of the season, they have a balanced offense. They've got all different kinds of guys scoring. The main guys, Kayla's and Cornelia, are scoring the goals, are the leaders in goals, but they're getting a lot of help from all over the place.
Yeah, and both of us, we went to those 2 games this week, and it's interesting to see where that goalie competition is going to go. I thought they would stick with the guy on Friday night. His name's slipping my mind right now, but they pulled him when the other guy had a second game, and that might be they're playing some weaker competition, so they're going to try these combinations and see what works along the way.
I think that, like you said, switching between the 2 goalies now that they're in their non-conference schedule, but once they get to the conference schedule time, I think they're going to have to find one goalie and stick with them throughout the season.
Well, the Pointers return to the ice on Friday when they travel to Concordia Moorhead and then play at St. John's on Saturday. The 10th-ranked Pointers women's hockey team also improved to 4-0 on the season when they swept Concordia Moorhead on Friday and Saturday, with each game ending 5-4. The Saturday game also went into overtime, where the game winner was scored by no other than Cara Lemarand, the sister of the Lemarand on the men's hockey team. Do the Pointers make the NCAA tournament this year after missing out last season?
I'm going to say yes, just as long as they stay healthy and they have another young team this year. As long as the upperclassmen and newcomers play well, I think Coach Ann Nieneman is a good coach, and she knows what she wants and she knows what the goals are, and she's able to get those from the players on the team. So I'm going to say, yeah, they do make it to the tournament. For them to make the tournament, I think they have to go through. They have to beat River Falls. They have to beat them in that conference tournament at the end of the year. So I think for them to make it, they have to continue the success they've had in recent years, but they have to get past River Falls. Yeah, the Pointers will continue their homestand when they host River Falls this Friday and Saturday, so a big matchup there. We will take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we will discuss Wisconsin Badgers football, the NASCAR chase for the Spring Cup, and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Be a part of something super Greek at UWSP. There are 9 chapters and colonies on campus: Phi Sigma Phi, Gamma Phi Delta, Theta Xi, Sigma Delta Rho, Sigma Tau Gamma, Delta Phi Epsilon, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, and Phi Omega. Greek life at UWSP is a great way to build your personal support system and resume. With Greek life at UWSP, you won't just be a member, but a happy friend to the chapters and colonies for life. See what opportunities Greek life could offer you.
Great opportunity to promote leadership, a great way to get connections, and also to build bonds between different groups.
You get the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader and as a person, both through your organization and connections through Inter-Greek Council and other avenues like that.
Greek life isn't what you see in the movies. I recommend checking out one of the recruitment events for the organizations and just seeing maybe you belong there.
Don't have a television? Don't worry. SPTV is available on demand at uwsp.edu/SPTV. Find your favorite shows on our website, plus links to all of our YouTube content. Stay up to date with SPTV news that includes information about campus and community happenings. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. We're SPTV-UWSP Television. SPTV. Let's make media together.
Welcome back. The Wisconsin Badgers were able to pull out their 5th win in a row when they defeated Maryland 31-24. Joel Stave threw for 188 yards with a touchdown and an interception, with Alex Erickson hauling in 5 passes for 83 yards. Linebacker Joe Schobert led the Badgers with 57 rushing yards, all of which came on a fake punt. How are the Badgers finding a way to win despite being decimated by injuries?
I think it goes back to one thing, and that's coaching. Paul Chris came in this season, hometown boy. I know you're not really a fan of him, but I like the pick, and he's able to coach well with Stave and the players that they have in, particularly the upperclassmen like Schobert and Beagle on defense. They know how to fight through and keep fighting till the end. So I think it's the coaching that helps them keep playing with these injuries.
I think it's defense. Dave Aranda, he's got a pretty stout defense back there. Like you said, Schobert and Beagle, these guys, this defense shows up every week to play. You never know what offense is going to show up for Wisconsin, but that defense comes ready to play every single week.
And Ben, you like any move any Wisconsin team does anything, you're gonna agree with it every time, every day.
The thing is, Paul Chryst, he doesn't give out much. It's too
boring for me.
I mean, he does it on purpose. I mean,
he's a boring man, and when you're boring, you ain't winning games. Well, the Badgers have this weekend off before returning to action against Northwestern.
He hasn't won like 7.
Let's move on to NASCAR now for our Motorsports Minute. Jimmy Johnson passed Brad Keselowski with 6 laps remaining to pick up the win, and Danny Keselowski the chance to advance to Homestead. After having the dominant car all day by leading 312 out of the 334 laps, Joey Logano was one of the many drivers to have a tire issue on the day and set himself up for a must-win situation at Phoenix. Of the 3 drivers who need a win to advance, Kurt Busch, Keselowski, and Logano, which one is most likely to get that win and to advance to Homestead? Start with you, Ben.
I'm just gonna pick Logano. I mean, I haven't been watching much in NASCAR because football's on Sunday, and that's a lot more important than car racing. So I'll just go with Logano, just for the sake of things.
I'm going to have to agree with him just because our camera guy Joey's out here, so I'm going with Joey Logano as well.
Wow, you guys a tough crowd out here. I won't take Jeff Gordon. He'll be crying before Homestead's over with. I probably will have to take Kurt Busch on this one.
Busch Light.
Well, let's move on to the Milwaukee Bucks. They took advantage of a soft schedule to win 4 games in a row to improve to 4-3. The Bucks also welcomed back Jabari Parker from his ACL injury. Ben, we'll start with you. Can the Bucks be in the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference this year?
Yeah, definitely. The Eastern Conference is the weaker of the 2 conferences, and the Bucks have a good thing going with Jason Kidd, and they have the right mix of young and old players. As long as they stay healthy and gel together on and off the court, I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see why they shouldn't be a top 4 team. They should at least be a playoff team at the end of the year. And that Eastern Conference is pretty weak. If they were in the West, they wouldn't have. I don't think they'd have a chance. But this team in the East, they have a chance to go far.
Yeah, and we looked at some of the pictures they were releasing about that stadium they're soon to be building, and I mean, I don't know how about you guys, but doesn't this get you excited for this team to actually be relevant again?
I kind of jumped off the bandwagon when they were bad.
Who didn't?
But I jumped off the bandwagon the past couple of years when they weren't so good, but now they got the new uniforms, they have a good coach, they have good players, and if that stadium turns out the way those pictures were, I'll be going to a lot of games.
They've made all the right moves to get this franchise back on track and become a franchise that Wisconsin can love again.
Well, the Brewers haven't done much, so we need the Bucks to pick up the slack there. We'll be right back, and when we return, we discuss the latest in the NFL.
Got an itch to be on air? Join the SPTV News crew. Being an on and off-air reporter will help you gain experience in interviewing, shooting and editing video, and reporting behind the anchor desk. Join SPTV News, pointing to you.
My name is Jackie Lang. I graduated from UW-Stevens Point in 2013. I started off coming to general members meetings, showing up for the shows. From the first show that I was a part of, I just absolutely loved it. Now that I've graduated, I currently work at WFRV TV, which is Channel 5, the CBS affiliate in Green Bay. I also freelance for Lashbro Visual Communications. All of my experience, all of my knowledge came from SPTV, and I will forever be grateful to this organization for that.
Busy student life? No problem. You can catch Final Take on the go in HD by following us on our website. Final Take, for anything Pointers, anything sports.
Welcome back. Before we get into rapid fire in the NFL segment, this might be the happiest day of the year for me. The Panthers defeated the Packers 37-29. Ben, we'll start with you. I saw you on Twitter. I think you were ranting the entire game. What were your thoughts?
I don't know what it is. The Packers came out with no enthusiasm, no fire. McCarthy and everybody was talking about how they were going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder after that Denver game, and nothing really ever got started. The defense, it seemed like the secondary didn't want to tackle anybody. Nobody was getting fired up. You had the fight on the sidelines, and Clay Matthews, the leader on the team, is sitting on the bench playing with his hair. So it was a disappointing game, and it was a little embarrassing to say the least.
For the record, he used to be a Packers fan no more than 2 years ago. So
Absolutely not.
Yeah, he deleted proof, but on Facebook. But I want you to go first before I talk. I want your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts in the game was this game should have been a blowout more than it was. The Packers shouldn't have been in this game at all. They didn't deserve to win the game, and if they would have, I would have been really pissed off, I think. But overall, I thought the Panthers came in with a good game plan. They structured it just like Denver did, bring blitzes at Aaron Rodgers, pressure him. Packers' offensive line looked like hot garbage out there. I mean, they played terrible. Coney Ely was blowing up Laga all day, so was the Mario Addison, who just came off of injury. The offensive line for the Packers, Aaron Rodgers had no help along the offensive line. He didn't have help in the wide receiver game really at all in the start of the first half. Randall Cobb couldn't get off the line. James Jones, he couldn't get a pass. Devontae Adams was getting shut down. The Packers really struggled in the first half, and that was credit to the Panthers' defense. Roman Harper played a heck of a game, and the guy's, 40 years old? He should be out there with a goddamn walker out there. But, I mean, the Panthers' defense, they game plan correct for this game, but it's starting to show that these end of these game struggles, they're letting teams come back, and down the stretch in the playoffs, that's going to come back to haunt them if they don't get it fixed. But I thought they played a heck of a game. Cam Newton played well enough to win, clearly. He had some missed throws. You're going to get that with Cam Newton. I see that every game. It's no secret. But I thought the receivers played well. They had some nice deep bombs. Burned the Packers a few times, and Funchess finally got some playing time, and I think that's going to go in forward. And he's going to take that Kelvin Benjamin roll over sooner and sooner.
Well, he hit on a lot of stuff. I was more surprised by that. But what I said, remember I said last week on this show when we were messaging you, I said for the Panthers to win, they have to beat the Packers with their other wide receivers, not named Greg Olsen. And what happened? Billy Brown, Devin Funchess, Jericho Cotchery all had big plays and were over. That also is probably a factor that Dimitri Goodson was playing, Sam Shields and Quentin Rollins.
Nothing good's going to happen when you have Goodson on the field.
But Cam Newton made some good throws. He also missed some throws. So the completion thing is still there, but he made the throws he had to make.
Yep.
The pressure that they pressured Rodgers, they got to Rodgers 5 times on sacks. That was one of the things, too, I said was, which quarterback stays upright? If the Packers can get to Cam Newton, they're going to fluster him. Well, the Panthers did that to Aaron Rodgers, and he was flustered all day long and had no time to throw, especially, which at the end, the frustration he had came back to bite him on that 4th and goal play. Moving forward, Kurt, I'm going to say it, the Panthers right now are the best team in the NFC at this point. Record shows it, they've beaten the best teams. However, I think they are a team that has hit their peak of the year. I think they're playing the best they can because the way they win games, it was hard to explain. It's hard to find out how they win these games or explain it, but Tony Dungy, I think, put it well Sunday night. They win ugly, and I don't think you can win ugly the rest of the year or moving forward into the postseason. I think this team is playing their best right now. They have a history of being streaky. They've been streaky pretty much since last year. They lost 6 in a row, and then they went on a tear late in the year, and they've continued that in the regular season this year. But I think this team is playing at their peak right now.
I don't think so. I think there's a lot more room for improvement on this roster. And hats off to Ron Rivera. One thing I love about him is this week, every team usually when they're facing a big team, it's a victory Monday. Panthers were in the practice, and they were practicing on Monday. Ron Rivera isn't satisfied. He's hungry, and everyone builds around him. Everyone's all in on Ron Rivera. There's been 2 times in national media in the past 4 years this guy's been supposedly should have been fired, and everyone has bought into what he's throwing out at him. And I think this Panthers team, there's a lot more potential. There's more potential for this defensive line to get pressure. A lot of these veterans right now are playing way too much, and that's the problem with this team. You can't have Roman Harper playing every snap all the time. You can't have guys like that out there playing every snap, and they need these guys, Trey Boston, guys like that, and Kirk Coleman to step up. And I think going forward, then when you got to remember, we're getting Charles Johnson back in a few weeks. That's going to add a huge depth to the defensive line. That guy had 12 sacks last.
I think the interesting part now is how do they handle now when teams. Now the Panthers are on everyone's mind. They're no longer a team that you just not think about. It's like, oh, it's the Panthers. Now it's like, now you're playing this team. So I think the Panthers now have to deal with having teams game plan to beat them now instead of like more so they're on teams' radars now.
Yeah, we're gonna keep this going along on this Packers-Panthers game. We're getting the wrap up. I don't care. I mean, are you guys panicking at this moment? I don't care what you say because I see it on national media.
Panic.
Packers fans are panicking.
I would
panic
on.
I am a little bit. You think about it. Aaron Rodgers, he's still a great quarterback. He's still always in the MVP discussion. But for him to say that on that last play, that 4th and goal to end the game where he threw the pick, for him to say that he saw something that scared him, you don't hear MVP elite quarterbacks saying that. Maybe like a rookie or a 1 or 2 year starter would say that, but for him to say that he saw something that scared him on that play, that's a little concerning. And the fact that at the beginning of the season, James Jones got off to a hot start. Devontae Adams, he was okay, battled through some injuries, and Randall Cobb was doing well. But now, where have they been the last couple weeks? And then the defense, too. Clay Matthews, he moved to the inside. Everybody's like, he's finally going to be able to step up and produce. He hasn't really been doing anything the past couple of weeks. And then the secondary, that's whether it's injuries or inconsistency. Morgan Burnett, he got that big contract a couple years ago. He hasn't really done anything. Sam Shields has been injured almost all season. And the young guys, Clinton Dix, he hasn't been playing well for being a first-round pick last year. So, yeah, it's a little bit of panic mode, but I hope the Packers get something turned around, I think.
Well, absolutely. You're playing the line this week. And before you go any further to jump in before Marty does is I think those injuries on the secondary is kind of playing into why Clay Matthews isn't playing well because they don't, those guys can't cover as long, and that interrupts a lot of things on the defense side of the ball.
I think you can panic if they lose this week. There should be no – if you notice that's that first team to go on the road facing 2 undefeated teams back-to-back weeks on the road. Okay. But the thing is, their O-line needs – this is the same group as last year, and this group was probably the second best or the best offensive line group in the league. They're not playing like that right now. They need to step up because they need open running lanes. They need to protect. They are just not playing up to their standards. They're like, I think it's 11 sacks in the last 3 games, something like that. It was 5 on Sunday. You're not going to win games. The defense, they haven't gotten a sack in 2 straight games after getting like a sack in, I think it was like 40-something games. They haven't done that, which doesn't help it helps to create pressure because then you get your secondary to get interceptions. They have not gotten any turnovers going back to San Diego. They should have had some. They did get a pick on Cam, but they should have had one more too. But the pass rush is not there. They need to get to him. Clay Matthews, he's doing fine in the middle. I think you're just because he's not got anything going last 2 weeks, you're just panicking on him. He's fine. Eddie Lacy, for him, I think it goes to the O-line as well. What happens is Eddie Lacy's a guy that needs to get more touches in the game. He builds up. He's kind of one of those guys that gets better and better.
Well, you ain't building up when you're fumbling the ball. It's not gonna. You're not gonna run in this league when
there's
you're
something
fumbling.
with him that we can't tell. We don't know, but he's not getting the ball. O-line's not helping either. But there's a lot of issues they can fix. This team can get hot easily. It's only halfway point of the year. They got a division stretch here. All
right, I'm gonna cut you short there because we got to keep this thing rolling.
Now we got to keep moving.
Rapid fire around the NFL. Enough about that game. Let's go to the Vikings. Moved into the tied for first with the Packers beating the Rams 21-18. Let's make these kind of quick.
Vikings are a good team. They have a good defense, and that was a dirty hit that Marcus Joyner put on Teddy Bridgewater. He should be suspended.
I'm not buying the Vikings until I see them play Green Bay and they play this schedule coming up. They had I think they have the toughest schedule moving forward. So let's see what they can do there.
I don't know for sure on this. Don't quote me on it, but I believe the Vikings played Green Bay tough either in Minnesota or Green Bay last year. Look out for them. The Titans knocked off the Saints 34-28 in overtime.
Marcus Mariota did well coming off the injury, and I think he showed a lot of promise.
Tough loss for the Saints. You thought they were going in a direction that they can keep building, but maybe the Titans pull off another win over the NFC South team next week.
I tell you what, the Saints-Falcons, they were giving out gifts to the Panthers this weekend with losses. Let's move on to the Steelers. They held on against the Raiders 38-35.
Raiders are going to be a good team in the future. They have a good quarterback, they have receivers, and their defense is slowly getting better.
Kind of a big game to implicate wild card stuff for the AFC, especially if the Raiders are not out of this yet. They're for real this year.
I think the Raiders make the playoffs, and I'm pulling for them. I really like this underdog team that's struggled for years, and they finally get something going in Carr. Well, the 49ers upset the Falcons 17-16.
Where'd the Falcons' defense go? First couple of games, they got Dan Quinn. That defense was playing well, and you just got beat by Blaine Gabbert. That's embarrassing.
I think about 3 weeks ago, if we saw the schedule lined up for Panthers in Atlanta, I think you would think Atlanta would be the 8-0 team and Carolina would be the team that's 6-3. So I think that's the surprising part is Atlanta really slipped up and against some teams that you'd expect them to beat.
Falcons are the same team the last 3 years. They've done nothing but got a new coach in there, and he hasn't done nothing in that defense. I saw this coming. The Colts beat the Broncos 27-24.
Colts won, but they lost Andrew Luck for a couple of weeks with a lacerated kidney or something like that, and then a torn ab muscle. I don't know. The Colts were able to do what the Packers couldn't.
Yeah, we found out the Bronco defense is not invincible like we thought.
That new coordinator there, Chadinsky, is doing good for Andrew Luck. He's out with an injury, which sucks, but they're fine. They're in a crappy division. The Bills topped the Dolphins 33-17.
Bills are such an up and down, hot or cold team. It switches from week to week.
I think the Dan Campbell era is not going to make it to 2016 after what his team's been playing recently.
Yeah, Rex Ryan, he's got 2 tough matchups coming up, Thursday night Jets and then next week New England. This is going to be the test for the Bills going forward. The Eagles won in overtime 33-27.
That NFC East is such a bad division this year. Both teams, it was a battle between both teams, and Eagles came out on top.
Well, they're now 2-6. I hate to say the Cowboys are pretty much out of it, but I think they might be. I think it might be a little too late to get Tony Romo back and this team back in the race for a playoff spot.
You know, I was watching First Take. This Cowboys team, I don't know. They're in such a big rut right now. It's going to be tough for them to come back with Tony Romo.
They can be a team that plays spoilers, though, I think. Well,
let's move on to the Bears. They came back to beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football 22-19.
Battle between two teams that are irrelevant in their conferences, and I don't know, the Bears are just kind of picking up the positives when they can.
I didn't watch a second of this game, so I really had nothing there. I mean, Cutler was good Jay and bad Jay, apparently, judging by what I saw on Twitter. But, yeah, like you said, 2 irrelevant teams right now in the league that aren't really blocks for anything close to the playoffs, so they're just kind of hanging around.
I feel bad for Phillip Rivers. I never see that guy. He's always complaining and whining during the games. He just has no help along the offensive line. As Keenan Allen goes out, I feel bad for him.
Lost Malcolm Floyd.
Exactly. Well, that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. We thank everyone for tuning in with us. I'd like to thank Ben Zitouni and Marty Kauffman for joining me with their insightful opinions on the debate desk, and a big thanks to our technical staff and all their hard work to make this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television, or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointer athletics information. And just remember, fellow Pointers, here at Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports, and go Panthers.